What's up everyone, this is not your average Dan and I'm back with the two space gray and silver MacBook Pros. I am here to give my final review and comparison of the two colors. I have sat with the week with the silver and a week with the space gray, and I'm finally ready to make a decision. I know many of you mentioned in the comments that you yourselves had trouble making decisions, so I thought I would insert a few more mod shots and just some pictures to help you guys make the decision at home, because obviously it's not feasible to buy both MacBooks and be able to pick, especially now when we can't go out to stores. So I will insert them now. Choosing between these two devices was honestly one of the hardest things that I've ever had to do, just because you're investing so much money and you want to make sure you're making the right decision. I definitely think that with the silver, it is a classic look, it is professional, it screams Apple, the whole aesthetic of it is very bright. There's a high contrast between the keys, so when you're typing, you can really see which keys you're looking for. Some of the cons though is that it does reflect a lot of light off of the screen onto the chassis, which honestly, when you're in a dim environment sometimes and you're watching a movie or watching something on YouTube, you can kind of see the reflection of the video on the MacBook, which can be distracting. It's a slightly less immersive experience. Is it a deal breaker? Absolutely not. It's like every other MacBook that's ever been made, and it's part of the reason why space gray really appeals to me, is because it is very sleek. It's very subtle, it's uniform. I mean, it's so modern. It is a newer color for sure. It does show scratches a little more than the silver. It's not a traditional Apple MacBook Pro color. So in my opinion, I think that they both are beautiful and they both do two different things. And I think it just comes down to choosing, and Team Silver definitely took the win in the comments. I think almost everyone in the comments pretty well voted for Team Silver. I did, however, side with space gray. I am going to be keeping the space gray model. So when I took aesthetics out of the picture, space gray is the device that appealed the most to me, because of the fact that I could use it and sort of just be immersed in the entire device and just look straight at the screen and not be distracted by what's around it. The silver is definitely beautiful. I highly recommend either of these color choices. I do find though that silver will probably remain a classic. It will be the classic traditional Apple MacBook Pro. This is the color that you will probably see for years and years to come. Space gray may very well be a fad, and that was another reason I decided that I wanted to go with space gray, because if I do intend on keeping this machine for a long period of time, I want to be able to say, yes, this is the color I chose, and even if it's discontinued, I had my time with it. The final verdict between these two colors is they are just so different from each other. I mean, this is a dark device that, depending on the environment, can appear a lot lighter or a lot darker. There's some lights that we catch this in and I'm like, okay, wow, this is a really dark gray. And then if the light hits it a certain way, it's very close to the silver actually. The exterior of the silver appeals to me more for sure. I think that when we're looking at the back of it and just looking at it closed and laying on a table, that my eye catches the silver better. I find that the space gray can blend into the environment, which if that's something you're looking for is fantastic. I do find that I like the inside of the space gray better than the inside of the MacBook Pro in silver. Specifically, just it blends well. It's a much more uniform look. I find that the black keys aren't as high a contrast, which in my opinion, I like that better than, the kind of black keys standing out. I do also like the fact that the trackpad itself blends a little better, whereas on the silver MacBook Pro, you can kind of see the glass has a higher contrast between the body and the actual trackpad. The final verdict between these two is I like the outside of the silver, the inside of the space gray. I'm gonna be looking at the inside way more than I'm looking at the outside. So I decided to go with the space gray. I think that regardless of what choice you make, you will love both of them because, you know, I was really at one point kind of stuck. I didn't know, do I want to do the space gray, do I want to do the silver? And I went with my initial instincts. I think that the excitement of the silver wore off a lot quicker than the excitement of the space gray. And that's why in the end, I decided to go with the space gray. Thank you so much for watching. I am so thankful to everyone who decided to take the time and comment on my video, my last video, and just give me some input and, you know, what they're deciding and, you know, what made them decide it. And quite frankly, the first couple days I was really loving the silver, and then I was kind of like, definitely space gray. And then as the comments started to roll in, I was like, oh, I like the silver now because of everything people were saying about it. But then when it came down to the experience of using the device and the actual abilities that you have, I like the subtleness, I like the quietness, and I like how immersive the space gray is. I probably, if I could, would somehow incorporate both into one, like the outside silver, inside space gray. But as of now, I will be keeping the space gray. The silver will be going back, and I will not think about it anymore. I will be content with the space gray. So I hope, if anything, this kind of final review comparison between the colors just helps you decide better, because it's hard right now not to be able to go in a store when you're making this big of a purchase and pick the color is not easy. It's not easy at all. So I hope that my video in some way can help you, and I do look forward to making more videos with this MacBook Pro. Thank you so much for watching, and happy quarantine.